What's up, guys? Welcome to Newswave Week in Review, a day where we like to go back and take a look at all of your comments, well, based around any of the topics we talked about throughout Newswave this week. So if you missed a Newswave, you can get caught up pretty quickly here. We'll talk about some of the bigger topics and take a look at what you had to say. So let's get started. Monday, we talked about Amazon posting at least 18 mystery Switch listings for pre-order with reference to a Nintendo conference. This has led several people online to assume that a Nintendo Direct could be packed with game reveals. We also talked about the possibility of Dino Crisis getting a reboot. RT Miss Val says, I pre-ordered Switch Title 21, can't wait for that one, it's gonna be so awesome. See, this is a joke, but there are a lot of people who are leaving comments and stuff all over Twitter, even on the video here, that's just saying that they were pre-ordering these games before they even knew what it was. I guess the limited edition ones maybe. Those at least, okay, look, I can't really understand it still, but I understand if you're worried there'd be a limited edition that gets sold out. But to pre-order a game without even knowing, I mean, it's basically a grab bag. You're basically saying, I'm gonna pre-order this Switch Title number 21 and hope that it's good. But people were doing it. People were ordering these games. Amazon did remove these listings and hasn't said anything about them since, which we assume means they weren't supposed to be up there. But they were pretty much pulling them out of people's order sheets, refunding money. But I just think it's hilarious that people are willing to spend money on these things without actually knowing what they were. I don't think anything that was $59.99 you have to worry about selling out. I can understand maybe you're looking at the $100 one and you're thinking that might be a collector's edition with a statue or something that'll sell out. Again, though, I wouldn't think about it too much in that case. But man, it was so weird to see all these people online, forums, message boards, Twitter, videos, everything. They were talking about how they were pre-ordering these random mystery listings. I don't get it, but maybe one of you guys can let me know why you would have pre-ordered one of these listings. Maybe you're worried that it would be a big limited edition thing. It just seems like a raffle to me. Tuesday, we went over a possible leak for when the speculated January Nintendo Direct would take place. The current rumor appears to place the Direct on January 11th, leaving Nintendo to more than likely announce this on Monday or Tuesday. Ian Moon says, I'm going to lose it if Retro Studios doesn't show up in this Direct. What are they up to? That's actually one of the studios that I think is going to be at this Nintendo Direct that's coming up, and I think they're going to be in full force with it, whatever they're doing. That's the thing. They've been teasing us for so long. I feel like it's been at least a year, maybe longer, actually over a year, because we were thinking they might even be at Nintendo's Switch reveal, and then they weren't there. And then we're like, oh, they'll be at E3. And they weren't there. So this is when Retro should be ready to go, because I think they are ready to roll into 2018 with something big. I think it's going to be up to them and then a few other smaller companies, and then, of course, probably Pokemon or Metroid to hold up 2018 while Nintendo gets some of their other IPs ready for 2019, along with the third-party Japanese support that appears to have stumbled out of the gate and be a little slow to catch up. But I do think 2018 is going to see the release of Retro Studios' game. I think they will reveal it in January, the January presser that we're coming up on, and then I think it'll launch sometime this year. Nintendo doesn't like to do the thing where they show you a game. Usually they don't anyway. Who knows with Metroid and who knows with Pokemon. Usually we think they show us a game and then it's ready to go in a few months. In this case, though, it's I would like to think that Retro is going to be there with a new IP. I don't want them to make another game that they've already done, like another Donkey Kong. Sure, they were great at it, but I'm looking for something new. We know they're not working on Metroid, so what do they got? And I hope it's something really cool, something that's different for them, right? Maybe not another first-person shooter like a Prime, maybe not like a 2D side-scroller like Donkey Kong, just something different. Give them a shot with the creativity. I think they've proven themselves time and time again. They can build a good game, but they're always told what to build. How about we let them build something cool and unique on Nintendo's platform, and we'll see what they're made of here. Wednesday, we talked about PUBG possibly going to other platforms outside of the Xbox and the PC after the CEO talked about their desire to put PUBG on as many platforms as possible. This led to many people assuming the game could make its way to the Switch or even the PS4. Nickel says, what's with all the PUBG salt? While I'm not too fond of PUBG myself, having it on Switch would benefit the system. Yeah, PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is interesting. There's a lot of people who don't like it because they see it as something like an asset flip. That's one of the terms I keep seeing thrown around a lot, because it's not a very pretty game, and it's not a very optimized game. It doesn't run well. But people find like just the straight raw fun in that game, right? Again, it's not built well, but man, a lot of people have a great time playing it. And more importantly, a lot of people forget about this, it's very fun to watch that game. When people are watching some of the bigger Twitch players or even just randoms on YouTube or even just on Twitch, people seem to enjoy it because it's easy to understand. You know, they drop you in and you just go try to wipe out and be the last one standing, and that's it. So I think there are people who are maybe fans of things like, let's say, the Hunger Games or something. They understand what's going on, but it's a very easy game to follow. Maybe not easy to play, but if you just want to watch it. So I think that works well for something like an esports game. But it does have a massive following. People love that game. I mean, people buy it in droves. Over 30 million sold at this point. It sold 1 million in the first 2 days on the Xbox. So while there are people who are like, I don't want that game on my system. Of course you want the game on your system. That's, maybe you don't want it, but I'm sure Nintendo and Sony would like to have it eventually, right? I mean, Microsoft was the first one to jump in there, and they're optimizing it. So if PUBG and their CEO wants to put it on all platforms, I'm sure Sony and Nintendo would eventually welcome it. Although there is talks that Sony kind of turned them down a bit, which is so weird. I guess because it just wasn't ready, and Microsoft was like, "Yeah, throw it on there. We'll just call it early access." And as they did. I don't know. Sony has some pretty broken games on their PlayStation Network as well, so it's very weird to see that. However, it did make the Xbox One X look kind of weak with how it was running it, so maybe that's why. But we'll see. I think they do want to push it to the PS4, maybe the Switch. I don't even know how they get that thing around on the. If it's having a hard time running on the Xbox One X right now, and the baseline Xbox One is running it at like 10 frames a second at times, I don't know how they would get it to the Switch. I'm sure they'd like to. I'm sure they'd like to tackle all cell phones and tablets if they could too, but within reason. It's got to be at least realistic there a little bit. Thursday, we explained the sales situation regarding Doom on the Nintendo Switch. VG Charts reported that Doom on the Switch sold 80,000 units in its first 2 days, leading many to assume that Doom on the Switch had flopped. Lawbreakers publisher Nexon also made the news after they decided to blame PUBG for lower than expected sales for Lawbreakers. Roberto Biate says, "I hope the sales of Doom for Nintendo Switch doesn't scare Bethesda away. I purchased it and I'm quite pleased with the performance of it. Sure, it doesn't look as nice as PS4, Xbox One, but it looks good enough for a tiny portable system. So well done to Panic Button for the port. I'd rather have this game on the go than not have it at all." So I don't think Bethesda had like these massive expectations for sales. The fact that they farmed it out to Panic Button pretty much tells me all I need to know right there. But I think Doom is at least doing well enough. I think Skyrim definitely did well enough. I mean, that game's been released so many times at this point. Bethesda probably puts it out and is like, we'll see. If it gets a couple 100,000 sales, great. That's perfect. I do think Doom did better than they were expecting, though, only because Doom is so cheap on everything else. But then the Switch version is $60 throughout the holiday season, and still to now, I haven't seen any sales on this thing. So if it did sell 80,000 units, I mean, that's VG Charts, so, like I said, I could have made that number up, but it seemed to throw people through loops and get people really worked up. It's fine. Seriously, 80,000 units in 2 days, like I said, is middle of the road. It's not great. It's not bad. So it's nothing really to get worked up about. And I think Bethesda had realistic expectations when releasing a game that's over a year old for the full price of $60, and it's missing a snap map, and it's a version that looks worse than the others, runs at half the frame rate. I don't think they're expecting the world for this game. In fact, I think it was just a great way to kind of get Bethesda introduced to the system. And then, hey, look, here's Skyrim, a week later. So there were a lot of factors, but I feel like they're okay with it. We'll know when we get a full statement from them. But based on word from Nintendo the other day, it sounds like Bethesda will be bringing more third-party support. They could be talking about Wolfenstein, which is another question mark, but who knows? Maybe Bethesda has some other stuff worked up, like maybe a Fallout or something. It's hard to say. Finally, Friday, Nintendo released a press release showing that the Switch is the fastest-selling console in its first 10 months in the United States. This means the Switch managed to outpace both the Wii and the PS4 in the US during its first year. Mad Catz also appears to be making a return to the accessory scene, with new products being shown at CES. Ivan Ramos says, "This news have caused tons of butthurt and tears." Now, this is something I'll never really understand for a lot of people. There are people that will get really mad about like a system doing well. It doesn't even matter if it's the Switch. Like I've seen people get mad about the PS4 doing well, the Xbox, the Switch, of course, and then people celebrate when systems don't do well. It's very odd to me because in the console space, you should want 20 people making systems. We only have 3, and that's actually not good in the first place. We should have as many as possible. Technically, we always only have 2 right now that actually compete at a power level. Like, they're always trying to push resolution, and that's Sony and Microsoft. Nintendo tries to do things their own way, but they are still competing for consumer dollars in the video game space. So they are still competing as much as they want to pretend like they're not. They are. But you should always want more people or more companies in this space. I would love to see Amazon release a game console. I'd love to see Apple release one. Seriously, why wouldn't you want as many people in this space as possible? Because it drives down prices, it creates innovation, it drives innovation, right? And it makes things like studios get formed, new IPs get developed, and really that just turns into more games for us and cheaper products for us too. Generally from a cost perspective, they'll usually take like if they need to and they want to try to undercut each other, they'll lower prices and then make it back on licensing, which means again, lower priced consoles for us. So why would people be mad about that? I'm not sure, because none of these companies know who we are and they don't care who we are. They just want to sell us a product. Guys, that's going to do it for Newswave Week in Review. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about all the stuff we talked about today, whether it is, maybe you want to talk about PUBG, so possibly go into things like the PS4, the Xbox One, maybe you want to talk about lawbreakers, blaming PUBG, or maybe you want to talk about Switch sales, this interesting January Direct that we're starting to see kind of teased by Nintendo on Twitter today. They kind of put a little tease out for Nintendo of America. So I think that January 11th date might be correct. So they put the tease out now, and then maybe they announce on Friday or Monday or Tuesday for a Thursday Direct. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what Retro Studios is doing, man. Come on, let us in on this. Seriously. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Have a good rest of your day today, guys, and I'll see you next time.